Hey guys, I'm gonna do my end of the year review with you guys. Although a lot of people have very bad news for this year, which I too have incredibly terrible news this year. Ow! Sorry, kitten. It's in the biting stage. And she makes a mess out of everything. But anyways, I do have some good things this year that happened, which is very hard to find for people who do their year-end reviews, because generally 2012 was a very terrible year. But anyways, so I'm going to tell you some of the good things that happened this year, because I don't want to start off on a bad note. Okay, so one good thing that happened this year was me getting my kitten, Miracle. And I know Miracle is such a original name, like, oh, another kitten named Miracle, but it's not like I just got my kitten. What happened was, there was a neighborhood stray, and she was a stray since she was a little kitten. One of our neighbors who moved away left her, and no one really took her in because they weren't exactly sure where they came from, like where she came from until later. So she was a stray, and the neighborhood would kind of take care of her, feed her, things like that, and she got pregnant. And she was very young. She barely hit like maturity. Like she was maybe 6 months when she got pregnant, and she ended up having one kitten because the rest of them ended up passing away because she was so young and developmental issues, and I don't even know, just like they didn't make it. So she had one kitten, and we didn't know this. So we took her in, but we would let her out because she would cry to go out. So I'd be like, okay, well, she'll come back. So we were trying to find her a home in the meantime because our neighbor stopped feeding her, and she was going hungry pretty much. And I really didn't want her to wander off and getting hit by a car trying to find more food. So one day, like, she was crying really bad at night. So I'm like, okay, so I let her out, and she brings back a kitten. She literally brings back a kitten and puts her on my lap. And she got the kitten from under the deck because I was like outside watching her when we were outside because I didn't want to lose her during the night. And she puts her like right on my lap, and I looked underneath, like we all looked underneath the next day, like, and during that time to see, and there was no other kittens. There was just this one single kitten. So we brought this kitten inside, and it's a freaking miracle that she survived because it was already really cold outside. So like, it was absolutely weird, like, that she even survived that long. Because in Canada, I think it was maybe 5 degrees outside Celsius, which is very low for like a newborn kitten. And we couldn't end up keeping her because she had aggressive issues towards our dogs, and with the kitten they got worse, which I don't blame her. I mean, she spent her whole life trying to survive, and the way of her surviving was making sure other animals left her alone. So we found her a home with one of our friends, and she took the kitten, and when the kitten, she only wanted the cat. She said, I don't want the kitten, I just want the cat, because I have enough, like, she only has room for one. So we offered to take the kitten. And so when the kitten was old enough, we took the kitten, and she's our little miracle because she survived, and she's so cute. So this is my little Miracle, and she is biting me right now. Stop. Give me love. Love me. Well, she's usually cuddly, but she decided that since people are going to watch, that she's not going to be very nice. But anyways, so she has been very therapeutic towards me because I came out about a huge trauma in my life, and I'm dealing right now with severe depression and anxiety issues. So I found that having her has been like something that I get to take care of. I mean, we have other animals in the house. Like my brother has 2 ferrets, my mom has Duke, and then there's another dog. He's a husky lab. So I have a boxer, a husky lab, 2 ferrets, but I never had anything that was like mine. you know, like mine. So when we got Miracle, she had to sleep in my room because she was so small, and we have such big dogs that we didn't trust them at first with how small she was, but she's totally fine now. And so my every day was just me taking care of this cat, and she became absolutely my rock, and she's helped me through really tough times. So she is like the best thing that happened to me this year. Unfortunately, that's like the only good thing that happened this year. So I guess I have to go with the bad stuff, but I promise not to end on a bad note because, well, I don't want to leave you guys like, she's right, this year effing sucks. So this year, like 3 days after my 17th birthday, so February 23rd, I went into anaphylactic shock over they don't know what, and they still don't know what. So they don't know what I'm allergic to. I know I'm allergic to nuts, whole grain, something in whole grain breads, things like that. So I'm very limited on what I eat now, but like, so they don't know. And after that, I started with a bunch of medical issues where my skin would get like sores and stuff, and it progressively got worse, and it got to the point where I almost lost my life because I got such a bad infection because I had sores inside and out. It was affecting my organs. I got such a bad infection that my organs were shutting down, and I was in the hospital, and if I would have waited any longer, I wouldn't have made it, which is good because I was at camp at the time, and I was very, very sick, and my great-grandmother, my Muma, was like, Brent, who is my father, you have to bring her to the hospital. You have to bring her to the hospital. She's not doing well. She's pale. She has black down her face. She does not look good. You need to bring her to the hospital now. So it took my dad like a while. He left like at dinner time. He brought me to the hospital, and I'm so glad he didn't wait till morning because I'm so scared that I wouldn't have been, like, I would have passed away during the night. And so I'm very thankful for that. But they still don't understand what I have. Apparently I have an autoimmune disorder, which they can't put a name to it because they've tested every single little thing, and they think that it is a disorder because there are diseases out there that are not named, and that I just have something that's not known. So what happens is my body attacks itself. My body sees my tissues as a bad thing, and it sees food as a bad thing, and it sees everything that I put in my body as something as a threat. So it attacks. Like when I eat, I get a very sore stomach because it thinks that the food going inside of me is like a germ. And it attacks my tissues because it thinks my tissue is a germ. And it's pretty much destroying my whole body. Like I have very bad heart problems now because of it, because it has like affected my heart tissue so much. And I have had a lot of kidney problems. I've had a lot of bladder problems, stomach problems. I've had a lot of problems in my intestines and stuff like that. And now I'm like, well, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm covered in scars. And I have scars on my face, but I just cover that with makeup. But so it really wasn't that good. It was really scary, and I'm still going through it. I will be going to Sick Kids again for a week period, 4 days really, but they're going to be keeping me, and they're just going to be monitoring me and see if there's anything else they can add to it, because at this point we know nothing, and they pretty much just said that you're probably never going to know what you have, so you're going to have to move on with your life and just focus on living, because if I don't, I'm probably just going to be depressed for the rest of my life. So they said that I should just move on and treat it as it comes and just live and enjoy the life I have left. And secondly, something really bad that happened this year is I came out about a trauma in my childhood. I'm not going to say anything specific because there might be family that watch this, and it's kind of a private thing, even though I'm telling it to YouTube, but you know, so it was something very traumatic that happened in my childhood, and I have been going through severe depression, anxiety issues, social issues. I have been going through intensive therapy, group therapy. I have been going through like a bunch of grounding techniques or whatever, like the breathing, 5 in, hold for as long as you can, let out for 10. And I've been pretty much doing that every single week, sometimes twice a week, meeting this group of girls, which I have fallen absolutely in love with, which pretty much counts as something good. And so now I have this really, really strong bond with these girls, and I've been working through it, and well, it's a pretty terrible process. Like, I don't want anyone to ever go through what I had to go through. So that's something terrible that happened this year, because I kept it a secret for 5 years, because what happened to me when I was 12 years old. And there are still things that I have not told my parents, which I am working on telling my parents, but it's really not the time right now, because my grandma passed away on Friday. So we just buried her today, which was really devastating. Like, I love my grandma so much, and she always wanted to go out with a bang. So having her funeral and being put in her grave on New Year's was the best thing that she would have wanted, because she always wanted to go with a bang, and whether people knew it or not, tonight they'll be celebrating her life with fireworks. And she is finally free, because she had a bad stroke like 8 years ago, and she's been in hospital ever since. She can't walk because they didn't take care of her feet right, so her feet are like that, so she can't walk on them. So she was confined to a bed. A woman who loved to dance, loved to go fishing, loved to hunt. She didn't have a life. Like, it wasn't a nice life. So in a way, it's a blessing, but we all miss her very much. And I'm gonna end on a good note. I have made, even with how traumatic my situation was in my therapy, I have made such good friends. Like, although these people I'm in therapy with are like in their 40s to 70s, late 80s, I have grown such a great bond with these girls, which is odd because I refused to create a bond with anyone. Like, I dissociate myself from people. Like, I hang out with a group of girls at school, but I dissociate myself because I don't trust anyone, and I find being in group therapy with these girls is really teaching me how to trust. So I feel like I'm so, like, not worthy of these girls. Like, they are such a huge support, and listening to their stories about what happened to them is totally heartbreaking, but it brings me closer to these girls, and I finally feel like I have someone I can relate to, which is huge for me. So anyways, that's my end of the year review, and I hope you all have like an amazing New Year's Eve, because I'm sure I will. Even though I did lay my grandmother to rest today, I am going to try to enjoy this New Year's Eve as best as I can, because I feel happy that she's finally free. So I was sad this morning, I was bawling my eyes out, but now that I sit here and think about it, I'm so happy that now she can be with my papa, and she can actually walk, and, you know, it's always better when they're angels, because there wasn't much of a life that she had. Anyways, so I hope that you all enjoy your New Year's Eve. I'm actually going to be going out for sushi tonight, which I'm pretty excited about. That's like our tradition on New Year's. We go out and we go to sushi. And I hope you guys party hard and have an extra drink for me. Happy New Year's!